Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to call the Board of Finance Committee meeting together. And the first order of business is the presentation of the board minutes from our last meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Just tilt your microphone down a little bit. Yeah.
That motion is passed. And now we'll turn things over to Janelle to run us through the agenda.
Yes, thank you. So I want to present the security transactions since our last meeting in August, between August 19th, 2024 through October 18th, 2024. And as you can see, it's a very long list. I do have one correction on the purchases. On page 1, there was a negative yield to maturity.
Thank you. I was going to ask about that.
Okay, so it's actually 3.55. Okay.
Much better.
Yes, okay. So the total amount of purchases is $850,900,000. And then for the redemption is $1,009,160,000. And just so you know, just to follow up, the last time we met, we had the revisions to investment policy. So it was sent to the state, and it's just there to be on file with them. They don't really approve, as long as it's within the law. They don't, talk about what our parameters are. It's just up for this body to determine what those are. So I just want to let you know that that has been filed with them, as well as we are starting following the investment policy. We're purchasing the supernaturals, so they were in there. If you look at your report, you'll see there are, we had one from the African Development Bank. So we had several purchases underneath that particular instrument. And we have one for International Bank for reconstruction. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchases and the redemptions through October 28th or October 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion has also passed. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the SWOT report, and this is for September 30th, 2024. If you notice that the 10-year Treasury, the rates did decrease, so respectfully in our portfolio, the value went up from $7.8 million the last time we reported to $9,011,431,000. And that concludes the report on the SWOT portfolio.
Questions about the SWOT report?
None.
Okay. Hearing none, we just are accepting that report as presented. Thank
That's
you.
correct.
Next item.
Okay. So moving on to the next item on the agenda is the Baltimore City Public School Capital Improvement Program. And today we're asking the board to consider and endorse the enclosed Baltimore City Public School Capital Improvement Program for fiscal year 2026 and fiscal years 2027 through 2031. The program includes $195 million in city bonds, as well as $162,889 million in state funds, for a total of $355,889,000. So as part of the, we come to the board annually with this request, and it's a requirement that the Baltimore City Public School System update and detail their detailed capital program for fiscal years, for this fiscal year and ensuing fiscal years, and it's presented to the State Interagency Committee on School Construction. The Baltimore City Department of Facilities is required to meet this requirement each year, and this is based on the condition for them getting the school construction funds. As part of the improvement, we're asking for, we have to have approval from the local city body, which includes the school board, the planning commission, as well as the Board of Finance and the Board of Estimates, and this is served as a way of the mayor supporting the program. The 2026 program consists of $64,245,000,000 is $27,500,000 in GO bonds, as well as $36,745,000 in state funds. The CIP continues to focus on major facility upgrades and deferred maintenance. So today we have a representative from the school system, Maria Gershberg, who will continue with the presentation, but I just wanted to let the board know also that the annual contributions for FY26 and FY27 for GO bonds is consistent with the loan ballot that's on the ballot this year that the citizens are voting on this election cycle. So now I'll turn this presentation over.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's red. Is it on?
Well, the mic is on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, just checking. All right.
And the presentation appears to be up. No? No? Oh.
No.
Oh.
That's their own presentation. Just here.
Do you want to just keep going?
Sure.
Presentation will catch up with you.
That's a good idea. All right, let me go to mine and we'll align when that comes up. So my name is Maureen Gershberg. I'm the Director of Facilities Planning and Strategy for Baltimore City Public Schools. And today we'll be going over the FY26 capital improvement program, as well as give an update on our major project landscape. The CIP aligns with City Schools Board Priority 3. And we'll be going over facility conditions and investments, funding sources, CIP requests, the major projects, and then looking forward. One of the biggest factors that we look at for our capital improvement program is what is really needed for our portfolio. We use something called the CRV, cost replacement value, to determine what is needed for our portfolio, and it's based upon overall square footage. And when you look at industry standards for both maintenance and capital funding, we are underfunded by about $375 million per year. And so that really leads us to make difficult decisions around how to prioritize where our available funding goes. We make decisions based upon physical systems as well as district priorities. Examples of physical system considerations include inspections, preventive maintenance reports, overall life cycle information, and district priorities are more in line with, say, our annual review recommendations, which come out every year, and our comprehensive educational facilities master plan. So we take the physical systems as well as those district priorities to help inform what our projects are going to be. All right, the majority of our capital funds do come from the state, about 79%. The number that you'll see in this presentation is around $19 million because that's historically what the city has given us towards our CIP. I know this year they're pushing for more funds, about $27.5 million, as Janelle mentioned, and then increasing amounts in the out years. But at the time of the creation of this PowerPoint, we assumed it was going to be $19 million, which is a good starting point because that has been historically what we've gotten. Yes?
How long ago did you create this PowerPoint?
Well, actually, this PowerPoint starts back in, we start in summer, actually.
The summer of '24, right?
Summer of '24, yes.
Yeah, okay, because I'm pretty sure that the school bond amount is set.
A couple years ahead.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been public record that we were going to contribute $27.5 million this coming year for years.
Okay, that's a shortfall on our part. We'll
Okay.
make sure that we're connecting more with the city.
Okay.
But we do know now that it's the 27.5 for 2 years, the 30 million for 2 years, and the 40 million for 2
Yeah,
years.
it was more along, it was more along the lines of, is somebody at the city not communicating that information?
I think that there's probably just a stronger, hey, Kristen.
Yep, I'm Kristen Ahern from Department of Planning. I do believe we could have been more proactive in communications. We're also, we are planning as though the full amount will be utilized, but we're also planning to be, for the need to be very responsive, knowing that the actual level of GO bond borrowing or GO bond, that we budget in GO bonds for 26 and 27 will be subject to operating budget decisions and the new resolution passed by this body to review the actual amount of GO bonds budgeted as part of the budgeting process. So we are
Okay.
preparing a plan that allows for some flexibility.
But-
But we absolutely could have
Yeah, I was
communicated
just, like,
better.
I was just trying to make sure that
Yeah.
that the decision-making process on the city side is being conveyed to schools so that they can plan accordingly also.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Now, what determines the amount the state contributes?
So the state budget, actually. So with the CIP, and we'll, if you skip ahead to actually the very next slide, we talk about the timeline. The state lets us know preliminary numbers of funding, typically in the fall, around September, and this year it's about 25 million, which is very similar to last year's 26 million. But the number is not firmed up until the Maryland budget is approved in usually April or May. The overall numbers, though, that's a larger state decision.
Well, how do they determine it?
They set percentages of the overall pot to each LEA. And so if the pot is a lot larger, we'll still get that same percentage, even if the pot is small or large that specific year.
I'm new to this. How is the percentage determined?
I can refer to our documentation on the state website and get back to you with that. I don't know off the top of my head.
But it's the same from year to year?
The percentages right now, yeah. The overall amount could vary depending upon the amount.
That I understand.
Okay.
I just wonder how we got that percentage.
Yeah, that was determined previously. I can get back to you on that. All right, so as I said, the CIP, we initially submitted in the fall, but the final numbers are not determined in the spring. We do believe it's going to be around 25 to 26 million. Our ask is a lot greater, so that's why the numbers might seem drastically different between some of the publications, yes. Other significant sources of annual funding that the city schools relies upon is the money from the city, as well as another state fund called the Healthy Schools Facility Fund, which we have historically, go into the next slide, you can see that it has been almost equal to the amount of CIP funding that we've had in the past several years. The fund, up till FY, I think 26, we were guaranteed half of that fund, because again, we have to share our state funding with all the other LEAs, and so that was about 45 million each year that we were getting in Healthy Schools funding. However, the law guaranteeing Healthy Schools funding in the out years is no longer guaranteeing that Baltimore City receives 50% of that funding. We've received word from the IAC that they do intend to uphold that, a very similar percentage, but it's not written into the law, so that is one thing that we are keeping in mind going forward.
Now, when you say you received word, how do you receive word?
So they let us know what the funding is each time the cycle comes up.
Department of the Budget lets you know.
I'm sorry, what's
The
that?
Department of the Budget lets you know?
So the IAC, the Interagency Commission on School Construction, they're the state entity that we work with for capital funding. All right, for this year's CIP request, we have approximately 7 major projects as well as 36 systemic projects. They are distributed throughout the city on a map that you can see on slide 10. Okay. All right. I'll let you know when I go to the next slide, because I see you got some printouts. So I'm on slide 10 right now. We have a pretty good distribution of projects throughout the city. The map you see there is our CCI, Community Conditions Index map, with colors showing areas have historic high investment versus areas with historic low investment. The next page shows a summary of our major projects. So we focused on CIP funding up till now, and obviously we know that impacts the larger landscape of our major projects. The CIP is a very specific source of funding. We know we also have had several very crucial one-time sources of funding, such as 21st Century, Build to Learn, and so we're going to take a step back from CIP to look at all of our major projects that are underway, have been completed, and going forward. We've completed 33 of 46 of the proposed major projects for our city schools thus far. There are two changes to major projects this year, different from the CIP last year. They are Ben Franklin and Edmondson. As I mentioned, we only get $25 million from in-state funding each year, and those projects were each around $168 million. So realistically, we didn't feel confident the state was ever going to get around to funding those full projects, and so we have actually downgraded both of those projects to be more systemic. So those are two changes that you will see in the report this year.
What determines the downgrade? And I'm asking that question just based on other investments the city may make in a certain area. And so Edmondson, as an example, you know that they are investing in certain areas like Uplands and the Edmondson Village Shopping Center, et cetera. I would believe that school upgrades also have a relationship. And as you all are looking at the budget, are you looking at those type of environments, other things that may be going on in a certain area?
Yes, so actually in our Comprehensive Educational Facilities Master Plan, the CEFMP, we do look at developments happening and where we anticipate more students coming online and what the seat need is. We also look at the dates of our schools. When were the last major improvements made? In Edmondson, nothing has really happened since it was opened, so we started actually strategizing on that earlier, last school year. They're currently in 2 buildings, the Skill Center and the main high school. And the population has shrunk over time, so that they really don't need the 2 buildings. And so we took funding that was it's called supplemental appropriation, basically leftover funds, and we used some of that funding from last year to start the design of CTE spaces within the Edmondson building so that eventually they can consolidate to the single building and not have to do the double campus, which is logistically very difficult. The CIP request that we're putting in is going to be for specific renovations at Edmondson as well. So the original project was going to be a full renovation that was going to be kind of like a brand new 21st century building. We're not going to get that, but we're going to get them in a single building. We're going to get them new systems, and we're going to upgrade the finishes.
And your presentation also indicated that for the West Side Skills Center, something had to be done with it, but there was no indication as to the plan for the West Side Skills Center. Is it because it's too early?
Yeah, we're actually looking at different options right now at city schools.
Thank you.
Yeah. And actually, so that was Edmondson. And for Ben Franklin, we're going to do some minor renovations to spaces, do some systemic projects, and then we're also going to be putting a 2-classroom modular on site because there's a huge need for seats in that part of the city. So Edmondson, we're not adding seats. Ben Franklin, we do need to add seats still. All right, so let's go to slide 4. And I always like getting to this part of our presentation because it's very uplifting on the work that we're doing. We have, we're going to go in order of openings. So these are our major projects that are going to be opened in the very near future. We're on slide 14. All right, we have Furley, which is a brand new building opening this summer. We have Marie G. Faring. There's actually 2 squares on that image. The Early Learning Annex is going to be opening this summer. There's a 2-classroom modular we're going to be putting on the site, and that is that blue rectangle. That's not opening until January 26th. Vanguard, which is going into the Northeast Middle Building, is January 26th. Lakeland, that is a new addition to our CIP as well this year. They are severely overcrowded, and so we're requesting $9 million for a 2-story modular to go on their site to replace a 1960s 10-classroom modular currently there. And that would open August 26th if we receive funding. Yes.
I'm sorry, what is taking the place of a,
Sorry, if I said
did you do
two.
it the other way around?
All right, so there's a 10-classroom modular there. We're going to put a 20-classroom modular
There we
there.
go.
My
Okay.
apologies.
Okay, gotcha.
Sorry, a lot of
Thank you.
modulars in our portfolio. All right, so that would be CIP funding if it comes through. Already underway and under construction is the Frederick Douglass renovation, which is going to be a co-location with the Joseph Briscoe Separate Public Day School. That is going to open in August 26th. High schools are very expensive. That's actually on the low end compared to the budget numbers for the Build to Learn projects that you'll see shortly.
Oh, yeah, so I see.
Commodore John Rogers is due to open January 27. That is going to be a replacement building. Next one. Armistead Gardens is a renovation addition opening August 27, and they're not swinging, they're just staying on site. City College, swinging at the University of Baltimore starting next summer. That will take 3 years, but it's slated to open August 28. It's a historic building that is very large, so it is very, it's one of the more expensive projects. City Springs, if it stays on its current schedule, will open January 28 with a new facility. Western and Poly, those will, each of those is going to be swinging at the Northwestern building. So Frederick Douglass is in Northwestern until 26. Western goes into for 2 years until 28, and then Poly goes in for 2 years until 30. So you'll see Western opening 2028, Poly opening 2030. And those are mostly kind of systemic projects with fresh finishes. Ben Franklin, those are the academic improvements, the minor renovations, and then that 2-story modular I mentioned, that would be August 32. And the Edmondson would be August 32. We anticipate the consolidation of the CTE spaces to be summer 28, and so they would be in one facility starting August 28. But the other renovations would finish up in August 32. All right, and then, actually, that's a great view of Furley. From some time ago, it's a lot more finished now. But Furley and City Springs will be net zero because of Maryland Energy Association grants that will be funding the installation of photovoltaic panels there. We always like to talk about air conditioning. Yes.
Actually, that reminds me, how common is it to, when we're doing these new buildings, especially from scratch or doing substantive rehab, to redo the roofs so that they can have photovoltaic panels?
So the panels themselves are pretty expensive. I do know that we look at making them ready. I can get the specific statistics on that to you.
So, okay, so at the very minimum, we always, when we're redoing these buildings or building new ones, we always make the roofs capable of handling solar panels, even if we can't afford to put them on at the time of the construction.
I want to check with my construction team. I know we have made several of them ready, but we can get back to you with that.
And then the other question is, I know that there are a lot of programs out there for residential solar where somebody else fronts the cost of installation because of how much they're going to generate back over the time. Are there not programs available for school systems, given that the roofs would be even more suitable than conventional residential roofs?
We've talked with several, I know at least one partner in the past about that, and when we ran the numbers in terms of like the upfront costs that would come to city schools, it wasn't balancing out. It wasn't, city schools was not coming ahead because of that. It was actually putting us financially less.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Have you collaborated with the federal government and the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act program? I do believe there are grants available that would recoup installation costs?
I can check with our sustainability team who works with those grants and attends a lot of the workshops on those, but yeah. Okay. Just make a note real quick. All right. All right, air conditioning. We all love talking about air conditioning. As of June 1st, all classrooms have some form of AC. It's not necessarily the permanent form of AC. There might be window units, there might be vertical package units. We eventually are going to have everyone with fully functioning HVAC. But at this point, we do have AC for all of our classrooms.
Do you have any idea what percentage are still window units?
I think,
Big, little, medium?
oh, very small, for the window units. The majority of our schools have central HVAC or vertical package units at this point. And even the vertical package units, which are intended to be temporary, we are, we're going to be putting HVAC into Frederick Douglass. So we're taking the VPUs off of Frederick Douglass and putting them someplace else, another school who needs them. So we are being very, we're able to reuse those and be more efficient. Next slide. All right, so looking forward, we're looking for approval for the FY26 CIP, which includes, again, now we have the 19 million. We have worked with Kristen. We have the form filled out showing that 27.5 million, but we are looking for approval.
Are there any questions? Although we were asking as we went along.
I think we should definitely give them more than 19 million.
But we won't approve that today, right? Or you mean,
I mean, technically, we're just approving the plan
correct,
today, so.
correct.
Yeah, I have no questions.
To me, you know, such a huge amount comes from the state. I'm very curious as to how that percentage is determined, and can it be increased? I mean, that's.
We have many discussions with the state, and we work with many folks to try and advocate for more. I think that's one of the reasons why Healthy Schools Fund did come along to help supplement the limited amount of CIP funding. But it's, I can get back to you with whatever law codified that percentage. But there are a lot of people constantly working to advocate for more.
It's always nice to have more.
Yes, it is.
If there are no other questions, I would just, again, ask for a motion. And what has been requested of the board was to consider and endorse the Baltimore City School Capital Improvement Program for the fiscal years 2026 and the periods 2027 through 2031, with the program including $195 million in city bond funds and $162,889 in state funds, for a total of $357,889.
I think those are millions.
Millions,
Okay.
right, correct. Yeah,
I will definitely motion to give them that in millions.
and,
Yes.
and
yes,
that's correct.
Yes.
Good catch.
Okay. And it's been motioned, is there a
Good
second?
catch.
Second.
And it's been seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That motion is passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Janelle, any other matters to be brought before us today?
There's no other business, but just to let the board know that we will have the comprehensive TIF report at the next meeting. I knew you was asking.
Yeah,
The
that's
resolution said it's due in November.
Right, I know,
Okay.
I know, that's right, and that's how it is in my little mental notes for this. It's like, this isn't a where is it, because I know it's coming in November. It's just a checking in, make sure everything's on track for that next month.
Yes.
Okay.
If there is no other matters to come before us, I would just ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.